Have you ever felt tired? Not because you're doing too much, but because you're living without knowing where you're going? You wake up tired, you go to bed tired, and somewhere in between, you're just existing. Life on the outside looks fine, maybe even good. You've got the job, the routine, the responsibilities. But on the inside, you feel tense and empty all the time, like you're running on a treadmill that never stops, going nowhere fast. If you see yourself in these words, if you've ever felt like you're drowning in a life that looks successful on paper, this video is for you. This channel is for people who want to slow down, understand themselves better, and change their lives through very small steps. Steps so small, they don't even feel like work. If you want content like this to show up more often, you know what to do. And if there's a moment in this video that makes you nod your head or feel a little less alone, leave a dot in the comments below. It helps more than you know. So why Japan? Here's what most people don't realize. Japan is one of the places with the highest life expectancy in the world. Their cities are spotless. Their people move through life with the kind of calm that feels almost impossible in the West. And before you think it's because they're smarter or genetically superior, let me stop you right there. It's not. It's because they live by very small habits, habits so small and so simple that most people completely overlook them. But here's the thing. These habits compound. They build on each other. And over decades, they create a completely different quality of life. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. 8 Japanese habits that can transform how you experience life, not through radical change or willpower, but through something much more powerful. Consistency in the smallest things. Big changes usually make us give up. You know the pattern. You get excited. You commit to everything at once. You're going to wake up at 5, hit the gym, meal prep, read 30 pages a day, and completely reinvent yourself starting Monday. And by Wednesday, maybe Thursday, if you're lucky, you're back where you started, exhausted and disappointed. But small changes don't do that. They don't exhaust you. They don't demand everything from you at once. And because they don't wear you out, you can keep them going for years, for decades. That's the secret the Japanese have figured out. It's not about intensity. It's about sustainability. It's not about perfection. It's about direction. And the rest of the world is only beginning to understand what they've known for centuries. Let's start with the first habit, Kaizen, which means improving 1% every day. And here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't that you lack discipline. It's not that you're lazy or weak-willed or broken in some fundamental way. The problem is that you're trying to change too much at once. You want the complete transformation overnight. You want to become a different person by next month. And your brain, your body, your entire system rejects that because it's unsustainable. Kaizen is the antidote to that cycle. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy that means continuous improvement, but not the kind that burns you out or leaves you feeling defeated. It's about getting better by just 1% each day. So small that you barely notice it, but over time, it compounds into something absolutely massive. Think about it this way. Let's say you want to wake up early, but you always fail. You set your alarm for 5:30, full of determination, and then you hit snooze 6 times and wake up at 7:30 feeling like garbage. Sound familiar? Instead of forcing yourself to wake up an hour earlier tomorrow in some heroic act of willpower, what if you just woke up 5 minutes earlier this week? That's it. 5 minutes. You probably won't even notice it. Next week, another 5 minutes. The week after, another 5. In 2 months, you're waking up an hour earlier, and it didn't feel like a battle because you never shocked your system. You never gave your brain a reason to rebel. Or let's say you want to start exercising, but you absolutely hate going to the gym. The thought of it makes you want to stay in bed. So, don't go to the gym. Just do 1 push-up every morning when you wake up. 1. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds like it won't make a difference. But here's what actually happens. 1 push-up becomes 2 because it's easy. 2 becomes 5. 5 becomes 10. And 6 months later, you're someone who works out, not because you forced it through sheer willpower, but because you built it so gradually that it became part of who you are. That's Kaizen. So here's your micro action. Pick one thing you've been putting off and think of a version of it that's 1% easier. So easy it almost feels pointless. That's where real change begins. Now let's talk about Ikigai, your reason to wake up. And here's where it gets interesting. You can do everything right. You can eat well, exercise regularly, have a stable job, check all the boxes society tells you to check, and still feel like your life is utterly meaningless. You ever feel that way? Like you're doing all the right things, but none of them matter? That's because doing things right is not the same as doing the right things. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that translates to your reason for being. It's the thing that makes you want to wake up in the morning, not because you have to, not because your alarm is screaming at you, but because you genuinely want to. And here's what surprises most people. It's not always big. It doesn't have to be saving the world, or starting a company, or achieving something Instagram-worthy. Sometimes it's as simple as tending to a garden, teaching a child, or creating something with your hands. There's a story about a man in Okinawa who retired after 35 years, working at the same company. He thought retirement would be paradise. No more deadlines, no more meetings, no more stress. But within months, he felt completely empty. He'd wake up and have nothing to look forward to. Then, one morning, he started taking care of a small garden outside his home. Every single day, he'd water the plants, pull the weeds, watch things grow. And he told a researcher years later that he felt more alive doing that than he ever did climbing the corporate ladder. That's Ikigai. It's not about what the world values or what gets applause. It's about what makes you feel like you matter. Another example, there's an office worker in Tokyo who spends his days in a cubicle doing work he doesn't particularly care about. But every evening, he tutors kids in his neighborhood for free. He doesn't post about it. He doesn't tell anyone at work. But that hour of teaching, that's when he feels useful, when he feels like himself. That's his Ikigai. So here's your micro action. Write down one sentence and be honest. I feel most alive when, and finish it. Don't overthink it. Don't write what sounds impressive. Just write what's true. That sentence might be closer to your purpose than you think. The third habit is Harahachi Bu, eating until you're 80% full. And this one is so simple, it almost sounds too easy. But it's actually one of the hardest for most of us. Your body always knows when it's had enough. The problem is, you don't give it time to tell you. Most of us eat until the plate is empty, not until we're satisfied. We eat because it's there, because it tastes good, because we paid for it, because we don't want to waste it. But in Japan, especially in Okinawa, one of the blue zones where people routinely live past 100, they practice Harahachi Bu. It means eat until you're 80% full. Stop before you feel stuffed. Stop before you need to unbutton your pants or loosen your belt. Stop when you're satisfied, not when you're uncomfortable. Here's the thing most people don't know. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to register that your stomach is full. So if you eat fast, if you shovel food down while scrolling your phone or watching TV, you'll overshoot every single time. You'll eat way more than you need and feel heavy and sluggish afterward. But if you slow down, if you actually pause halfway through your meal and check in with yourself, you'll notice you're probably not that hungry anymore. The Japanese don't see food as just fuel or pleasure. They see it as respect for the body. Eating less isn't about restriction or dieting or deprivation. It's about not overloading your system. It's about feeling light and clear instead of weighed down. So here's your micro action. At your next meal, when you're about halfway through, stop eating for 10 seconds. Put your fork down. Take a breath. And ask yourself one simple question. Am I still hungry? Not is there still food on my plate, but am I actually still hungry? You might be surprised by the answer. Next is Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. And let me tell you something important. You're not weak. You're not broken. Your nervous system is just completely overloaded. Most of us live in a constant state of low-level stress that we've normalized to the point where we don't even notice it anymore. Notifications buzzing, deadlines looming, noise everywhere. Screens glowing in your face from the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep. Traffic, bills, decisions. Your body was not designed for this. It was designed to be outside, to move slowly, to hear wind and water and birds, not car horns and Slack notifications and email alerts. Shinrin-yoku is the Japanese practice of spending time in nature, not to hike or exercise or achieve anything, but just to be there, to walk slowly, to breathe, to let your senses reset themselves. And this isn't some hippie nonsense. Studies have proven that spending time in forests lowers cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It lowers blood pressure. It improves mood and immune function. And you don't need hours. You don't even need an actual forest. A park works. A tree-lined street works. Just 10 minutes away from concrete and screens can make a measurable difference in how you feel. In Japan, doctors literally prescribe forest bathing. It's considered medicine. They understand that the body heals better when it's surrounded by living things instead of artificial ones. There's a man in Kyoto who used to have panic attacks every single week. He'd feel his chest tighten, his heart race, and he couldn't breathe. He tried therapy. He tried medication. Nothing really worked. Then someone told him to try walking in a park near his home every morning. No music, no phone, just walking. He thought it was stupid, but he was desperate, so he tried it. Within a month, the attacks became less frequent. Within 3 months, they stopped completely. He didn't need more therapy or stronger meds. He just needed trees. Your micro action is simple. This week, walk for 10 minutes somewhere green. Leave your phone in your pocket. No earbuds. No distractions. Just you and the natural world. Notice what happens to your mind. Now let's talk about Wabi-sabi, accepting imperfection. And this is one of the most important concepts in this entire video. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. Let me say that again, because I know you didn't really hear it the first time. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. Wabi-sabi is a Japanese aesthetic philosophy that finds beauty in imperfection, in things that are incomplete, impermanent, and flawed. A cracked teacup, a weathered wooden table, a scar on your hand. These aren't defects. They're proof of a life lived, proof that something has been used and loved and has survived. In the West, we're absolutely obsessed with perfection. Perfect body, perfect career, perfect relationship, perfect family, perfect life. We curate our social media to hide anything messy or real. And because perfection is impossible, because we're all just humans stumbling through this, we end up feeling like we're never enough, like we're failing some invisible test. But Wabi-sabi teaches the exact opposite. It says, the cracks are what make you beautiful. The rough edges are what make you real. The imperfections are what make you human. Think of a ceramic bowl that's been used for 20 years. It has scratches and stains and maybe a small chip on the rim. That's not damage. That's character. That's a story. It's the same with people. You're not damaged because you've struggled. You're not broken because you failed, or made mistakes, or had your heart torn apart. You're shaped. You're textured. You're real. And that is infinitely more valuable than anything polished and untouched and fake. There's a woman in California who used to spend hours editing her photos before posting them online. She felt like she had to look flawless, like any imperfection would make people reject her. Then one day, she just stopped. She started posting unfiltered photos, pictures where her skin wasn't perfect, where her hair was messy, where she looked tired or sad or human. And people connected with her more, not less. Her engagement went up. People started telling her she inspired them because she was real. Your micro-action is this. Today, look at one imperfection in yourself, maybe physical, or maybe something about your personality or your past. And don't try to fix it. Don't hide it. Just see it. Acknowledge it. Let it be part of your story. The sixth habit is Gaman, enduring with dignity. And here's what real strength actually looks like. Real strength isn't about showing everyone how much you can suffer. It's not about posting your struggles online for sympathy or validation. It's about not needing to prove it at all. Gaman is a Japanese concept that means enduring hardship without complaining, without making your pain everyone else's burden. Now, before you misunderstand, this isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's not about toxic positivity or suffering in silence when you genuinely need help. It's about dignity. It's about understanding that not every hard moment needs an audience. Not every difficulty needs to be broadcast. Not every challenge requires external validation. In Japan, people don't tend to announce their struggles to the world. If they're going through something difficult, they keep going. They do what needs to be done. They show up. They fulfill their responsibilities. They don't post about it. They don't make it a story. They just endure. There's a story about a 52-year-old man in Osaka who lost his job of 15 years during a recession. The company he dedicated his entire adult life to let him go with 2 weeks' notice. He didn't tell anyone outside his immediate family. Every single day, he woke up at the same time, put on his suit, and went out looking for work. He applied to dozens of companies. He faced rejection after rejection. But he came home every evening, had dinner with his family, helped his kids with homework, and kept going. 4 months later, he found a new position. His friends and neighbors never knew he'd been struggling because he never made it their burden. That's Gaman. It's the quiet strength of continuing without needing validation or sympathy or an audience. And here's what's powerful about this. When you stop performing your pain, when you stop turning every difficulty into content or a story you tell everyone, something shifts. You realize you're stronger than you thought. You realize you can carry things without collapsing. You realize that silence can be its own form of power. Now again, I'm not saying you should never talk about your struggles or never ask for help when you genuinely need it. I'm saying not every difficulty needs to be shared. Not every hard day needs to be announced. Sometimes, enduring quietly is the most dignified thing you can do. So here's your micro action. The next time you feel the urge to complain, to tell someone how hard things are, to post about your struggle, stop for 10 seconds. Just 10. Sit with the discomfort. Breathe through it. See if you still need to say it after those 10 seconds pass. Number 7 is Omoiyari, thinking of others before yourself. And this is where the Japanese culture really separates itself from the individualism of the West. When you make someone else's life easier, your life gets lighter too. That's not a platitude. That's an actual psychological effect. Omoiyari is the Japanese practice of anticipating the needs and feelings of others and acting with consideration before being asked. It's not about being a people pleaser or sacrificing yourself. It's about being thoughtful. It's about moving through the world in a way that doesn't create unnecessary trouble for the people around you. In Japan, you see this everywhere, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. People speak quietly on trains because they know loud voices disturb others. They clean up after themselves in public spaces, even when no one is watching. Even when there's no trash can nearby. They hold doors. They wait in orderly lines. They bow in apology when they accidentally bump into someone. They think about how their actions affect the people around them, and they adjust accordingly. It's not performative. It's not for show. It's just how they live. And the result is a society that feels calmer, more respectful, more human. There's a small act that perfectly illustrates this. In Japan, when you finish a meal at a restaurant, many people stack their plates neatly, wipe down the table a bit, and place their napkins on top, making it easier for the staff to clear everything. Nobody asked them to do this. There's no rule. They just do it because they're thinking about the person who has to clean up after them. They're making someone else's job a little easier, and it costs them nothing. That's Omoiyari. It's the radical act of considering others in a world that constantly tells you to think only of yourself. And here's what's beautiful about this practice. When you start living this way, when you start thinking about how your actions affect others, something unexpected happens. You feel better. You feel more connected. You feel less isolated because you're no longer the center of your own universe. You're part of something larger. So here's your micro action. Today, do one kind thing without telling anyone about it. Don't post it. Don't mention it. Don't expect thanks or recognition. Just make someone's day a little easier because you can. See how it feels. And finally, the 8th habit, kintsugi, mending what's broken with gold. And this might be the most beautiful philosophy of all. You're not broken. You're not ruined. You're not less than you were. You're just being reshaped. Kintsugi is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. Instead of hiding the cracks, they highlight them. They make them beautiful. The bowl that was shattered is carefully put back together, and the seams are filled with actual gold, making the breaks not just visible, but radiant. The message is clear and profound. The object is more valuable because it was broken, not in spite of it. The scars are what make it unique, what give it character, what make it worth keeping. This philosophy applies to people just as much as it applies to pottery, maybe even more. You've been hurt. You've failed. You've gone through things that broke you, that shattered your sense of who you thought you were. Maybe it was a relationship that ended badly. Maybe it was a dream that died. Maybe it was trauma or loss or a mistake you can't take back. And you might feel like you're less than you were before, like you're damaged goods, like no one will want the broken version of you. But Kintsugi says the exact opposite. You're more now. You're deeper. You're wiser. You're stronger in the places where you cracked open. There's a woman in Seattle who went through a devastating divorce after 12 years of marriage. For a long time, she felt like her life was over, like she'd never be whole again, like she was fundamentally unlovable. But years later, she realized that experience taught her who she really was beneath the relationship. It gave her empathy she never had before. It gave her strength she didn't know existed. It gave her clarity about what she actually wanted from life. She wasn't the same person she was before the divorce, but she wasn't less. She was different. She was deeper. And in many ways, she was better, more authentic, more herself. Your pain is not a flaw in your design. It's not proof that you're broken beyond repair. It's part of your story. And the parts of you that have been broken and carefully mended are often the most beautiful, the most real, the most valuable. So here's your micro action. Think of an old wound, something that hurt you deeply in the past. Now ask yourself 3 questions. What did it teach me? How did it shape who I am today? What gold came from that crack? So here we are. 8 habits, 8 ways of living that the Japanese have practiced for generations. And here's what I want you to understand. You don't need to do all of them. You don't even need to do half. You just need one. Pick the one that resonated most with you. The one that made you pause. The one that felt like it was speaking directly to the part of you that's been struggling. Start there. Start small. Start today. The Japanese don't chase transformation. They don't look for the one big moment that changes everything overnight. They build it slowly, quietly, patiently, one small habit at a time. They understand something most of us forget in our obsession with instant results and overnight success. Life is not a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It's a series of small steps taken every single day in the same direction. And those steps, those tiny, unremarkable steps, they compound into something extraordinary over time. If this video helped you slow down, even just a little, if it made you think differently about change or growth or what's possible, stay with this channel. There's more where this came from, and it's all designed to help you live with more intention, more peace, more clarity, and more connection to what actually matters. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Which of these 8 habits do you need most right now?